Arachnida is a class of joint-legged invertebrate animals, arthropods, in the subphylum Silicerata. Arachnida includes orders containing spiders, the largest order, scorpions, ticks, mites, harvestmen, and solifuges. In 2019, a molecular phylogenetic study also placed horseshoe crabs in Arachnida. Almost all adult arachnids have 8 legs, though the front pair of legs in some has converted to a sensory function, while in other species, different appendages can grow large enough on the appearance of extra legs. The term is derived from the Greek word arachne, from the myth of the hubristic human weaver Arachne, who is turned into a spider. Almost all extant arachnids are terrestrial, living mainly on land. However, some inhabit freshwater environments, and with the exception of the pelagic zone, marine environments as well. They comprise over 100,000 named species. Morphology. Almost all adult arachnids have 8 legs, unlike adult insects who have 6 legs. However, arachnids also have 2 further pairs of appendages that have become adapted for feeding, defense, and sensory perception. The first pair, the Siliceri, serve in feeding and defense. The next pair of appendages, the pedipalps, have been adapted for feeding, locomotion, or reproductive functions. In solifugae, the palps are quite leg-like, so that these animals appear to have 10 legs. The larvae of mites and riciniulae have only 6 legs. A 4th pair usually appears when they molt into nymphs. However, mites are variable, as well as 8. There are adult mites with 6 or even 4 legs. Arachnids are further distinguished from insects by the fact that they do not have antennae or wings. Their body is organized by 2 tagmata, called the prosoma or the cephalothorax, and the opisoma or abdomen. However, there is currently neither fossil nor embryological evidence that arachnids have ever had a separate thorax-like division, so the validity of the term cephalothorax, which means a fused cephalon or head and thorax, has been questioned. There are also arguments against the use of abdomen, as the opisthothoma of arachnids contains organs atypical of an abdomen, such as a heart and respiratory organs. The prosoma, or cephalothorax, is usually covered in a single unsegmented carapace. The abdomen is segmented in more primitive forms, but varying degrees of fusion between the segments occur in many groups. It is typically divided into a pre-abdomen and post-abdomen, although this is only clearly visible in scorpions. In some orders, such as the Acari, the abdomen sections are completely fused. A telson is present in scorpions, where it has been modified to a stinger, in Schizomida, whip scorpions, and Palpigrati. Like all arthropods, arachnids have an exoskeleton. They have an internal structure of cartilage-like tissue called the endosternite, to which contain 2 certain muscle groups are attached. The endosternite is even calcified in some ophiolones. Locomotion. Most arachnids lack extensor muscles in distal joints of their appendages. Spiders and whip scorpions extend their limbs hydraulically using the pressure of their hemolymph. Solifuges and some harvestmen extend their knees by using highly elastic thickenings in the joint cuticle. Scorpions and pseudoscorpions and some harvestmen have evolved muscles that extend the 2-leg joints, the femur patella and the patella tibia joints at once. The equivalent joints of the pedipalps of scorpions, though, are extended by elastic recoil. Physiology. See also hemolymph. There are characteristics that are particularly important for the terrestrial lifestyle of arachnids, such as internal respiratory surfaces in the form of trachea, or modification of the book gill into a book lung, an internal series of vascular laminae used for gas exchange with the air, while the tracheae are often individual systems of tubes similar to those in insects. Ricinids, I don't know how to pronounce that. Pseudoscorpions and some spiders possess tracheae, in which several tubes arise in a bundle of smaller chambers connected to the spiracle. This type of tracheal system is almost certainly evolved from book lungs and indicates the tracheae of arachnids are not homologous homologous of those insects. Further adaptations to terrestrial life are appendages modified for more efficient locomotion on land, internal fertilization, special sensory organs, and water conservation enhanced by efficient excretory structures, as well as a waxy layer covering the cuticle. The excretory glands of arachnids include up to 4 pairs of coxal glands along the prosoma and 1 or 2 pairs of malpighian tubules emptying into the gut. Many arachnids have only one or the other type of excretory gland, although several do have both. Primal nitrogenous waste product in arachnids is guanine. Arachnid blood is variable in composition depending on the mode of respiration. Arachnids with an efficient tracheal system do not need to transport oxygen in blood, may have a reduced circulatory system. In scorpions and some spiders, however, the blood contains hemocyanin, a copper-based pigment with similar functions to hemoglobin in vertebrates. The heart is located in the front part of the abdomen. It may or may not be segmented. Some mites have no heart at all. Diets and digestive system. Arachnids are mostly carnivorous, eating on the predigested bodies of insects and other small animals. Only harvestmen and among mites, such as the house dust mite, is their ingestion of solid food particles and thus exposure to internal parasites, although it is not unusual for spiders to eat their own silk. Several groups secrete venom from specialized glands to kill prey or enemies. Several mites and ticks are parasites, some of which are carriers of disease. Arachnids produce digestive juices in their stomachs and use their pedipalps and salicery to pour them over their dead prey. Digestive juices rapidly turn the prey into a breath of nutrients, which the arachnid sucks through prebuccal cavity located immediately in the front of their mouth. Behind the mouth is a muscular sclerotized pharynx, which acts as a pump, sucking the food through the mouth and on the esophagus and stomach. In some arachnids, the esophagus acts as an additional pump. The stomach is in a tubular shape with multiple diverticula extended throughout the body. The stomach and diverticula both produce digestive enzymes and absorb nutrients from food. It extends through most of the body and connects to a short sclerotized intestine and anus in the hind part of the abdomen. Senses. Arachnids have 2 kinds of eyes, the lateral and median ocelli. The lateral ocelli evolved from compound eyes and may have a tapetum, which enhances the ability to collect light. With the exception of scorpions, which can have up to 5 pairs of lateral ocelli, there are never more than 3 pairs present. The median ocelli develop into from a transverse fold of the ectoderm. The ancestors of modern arachnids probably had both types, but modern ones often lack one type or the other. The cornea of the eye also acts as a lens and is continuous with the cuticle of the body. Beneath this is a transparent vitreous body, and then the retina, if present, the tapetum. In most arachnids, the retina probably does not have enough light-sensitive cells to allow the eyes to form a proper image. In addition to the eyes, almost all arachnids have 2 other types of sensory organs. Most important to most arachnids are the fine sensory hairs that cover the body and give the animal its sense of touch. These can be relatively simple, but many arachnids also possess more complex structures called trichobothria. Finally, slit sense organs are slit-like pits covered in a thin membrane. Inside the pit, what? I'm reading a Spider Wikipedia article. I know.
That's cool. You guys are having fun. That's doing stuff. That's awesome.
Inside the pit, a small hair touches the underside of the membrane, and it detects motion. Slit sense organs are believed to be involved in proprioception and possibly also hearing. Reproduction. Alright. Arachnids have 1 or 2 gonads which are located in the abdomen. The genital opening is usually located in the... This is gross, I'm skipping this one. We're getting onto phylogeny, taxonomy, and evolution. The phylogenetic relationships among the main subdivisions of arthropods have been subject to considerable research and dispute for many years. A consensus emerged from about 2010 onwards based on both morphological and molecular evidence. Extant living arthropods are a monophyletic group and divided into three main clades: Silicery, including arachnids, pancrustaceans, the paraphyletic crustaceans plus insects and their allies, and myriapods, centipedes, millipedes, and allies. The three groups are shown in the cladogram below, including fossil taxa, which does not fundamentally alter this view, though it introduces some additional basal groups: Arthropoda, Mandibulata, Silicerata, Pancrustacea, Myriapoda. And those what they are specifically. The extant silicerates comprise two marine groups: sea spiders and horseshoe crabs, and terrestrial arachnids. These have been thought to be related as shown below. Pycnogonida, sorry, that's a hard one to pronounce. Sea spiders may be excluded from silicerates, which are then identified as the group Eucilicerata. Jesus. And 2019 analysis nests Xiphoceura deeply with Arachnida, Silicerata, Eucilicerata, Pycnogonida, Xiphoceura, horseshoe crabs, and Arachnida. Discovering relationships within arachnids have proven difficult as of March 2016, with successive studies producing different results. A study in 2014, based on the largest set of molecular data to date, concluded there are systemic conflicts in the basic phylogenetic information, particularly affecting the order of Acariforms, Parasitiforms, and Pseudoscorpiones, which have had faster evolutionary rates. Analyses of the data using sets of genes using different evolutionary rates have produced mutually incompatible phylogenetic trees. The authors favored a relationship shown by more slowly evolving genes, which demonstrated the monophyly of Silicerata, Eucilicerata, and Arachnida, as well as the clades within the arachnids. The diagram below summarizes their conclusions, based largely on the 200 most slowly evolving genes. Dashed lines represent uncertain placements: Arachnida, Acariforms, Apollones, Riccinuli, Solifugae, Parasitiforms, Pseudoscorpiones, Tetrapulmonata, Aranae, Ambiplygi, sorry. And then I have no idea how to pronounce that one. And then Arachnopulmonata. Tetrapulmonata, here consisting of Aranae, Ambiplygi. Sorry, jeez, why that was so hard. And then Thelyphonida. Schizomeda was not included in the study, received strong support, including scorpions, to produce a clade called Arachnopulmonata, was also well supported. Pseudoscorpions may also belong here, possibly as a sister of scorpions. Somewhat unexpectedly, there's a support for the clade of Biolans. This is I don't even know what this is saying. Fossil history. The Urarynida are an extinct order of spider-like arachnids from the Devonian and Permian. A fossil arachnid, 100-year-old amber from Myanmar, the Chimera arachne ingai, has spinnerets to produce silk. It has a tail like the Paleozoic Urarynida, some 200 million years after other known fossils with tails. The fossils resemble the most primitive living spiders, the Mesotheles. And then taxonomy. Oh, this is going to be all unpronounceable. I apologize in advance. The subdivisions of arachnids are usually treated as orders. Historically, mites and ticks were treated as a single Acari. However, molecular phylogenetic studies suggest that these two groups do not form a single clade, with morphological similarities being due to convergence. They are now usually treated as separate taxa, Acariforms, mites, and parasitiforms, ticks, which may be ranked as orders or superorders. The arachnid subdivisions are listed below alphabetically. Numbers of species are approximate. Acariforms, mites, which is 32,000 species, Ambipygae, or blunt rump tailless whip scorpions with front legs modified into a whip-like sensory structure as long as 25 centimeters or more. There's 153 species of that. Arachnid spiders, there's 40,000 of those. Hoptopoda, extinct arachnids, apparently part of the Tetrapulmonata, the subgroup including spiders and whip scorpions, one species. They're no longer extant, however. The Opulocariforms, harvestmen-like mites, 10 genera. Opulones, phalangids, harvestmen or daddy longlegs, 6,300 species. Palpigradi, microwhip scorpions, 80 species. Parasitiforms, ticks, which is 12,000 species. Phalangiotarbi, extinct arachnids of uncertain affinity, 30 species. They don't exist anymore. Pseudoscorpionida, pseudoscorpions, there are 30,000. There are 3,000 of those. Ricinulids, hooded tick spiders, there are 60 of those. Schizomida, split middle whip scorpions with divided exoskeletons, 220 species. Scorpions, there's 2,000 of them. Solifugae, sopugids, whip scorpions, sun spiders, or camel spiders, 900 species. Deliphonida, also called Europygae, whip scorpions or vinegaroons, forelegs modified into sensory appendages and a long tail on abdomen tip, 100 species. Trigonotarbida, extinct. Ranida, extinct spider-like arachnids, but with a tail and no spinnerets, 2 species, and Xyphosura, horseshoe crabs, which there are 4 living species. It is estimated that 98,000 arachnid species have been described, and there may be 600,000 in total. And that brings us to the end of the Spider Wikipedia page. I can read a specific one later, I don't know. Yeah.